Hello, I'm Laura from Burns Pet Nutrition.
Hello, I'm John Burns from Burns Pet Nutrition.
And today we're going to be discussing digestive issues. Last year we had around 600 inquiries just on digestive issues on email and live chat alone. It seems to be most common in Labradors, Cockapoos and Cocker Spaniels, which are three very common breeds of dog as well.
I think the starting point should be, what does a healthy digestive system look like? Dogs are a bigger issue, I think, the biggest issue really. They should produce a small, well-formed stool, maybe once a day, something that's easy to pick up. No vomiting, no signs of abdominal discomfort.
And not much wind as well. Wind is a common thing.
That's right. That's another sign of a digestive upset. Really.
And it should be consistent throughout the day. Sometimes people will see it gets looser throughout the day, so you shouldn't really see variations in that.
No, a healthy dog fed a highly digestible food past their motion maybe once a day, twice at the most. Small volume. I
spoke to a lady once who moved to Burns. Previously her dog was pooing 5 or 6 times a day, and then she moved to Burns and he was only pooing like once or twice, and she called me back because she thought he was constipated then because he wasn't going to the toilet enough. But I was like, no, that's what you should be doing.
No matter what the symptoms might be, diarrhea, vomiting, flatulence, abdominal discomfort, it really comes down to poor digestive function. And so to deal with that, we have to have a food which is highly digestible and not going to cause a food allergy or intolerance or any adverse reaction.
More often than not, it is just they're having a bit too much food, isn't it? It's often nothing to do with a food intolerance or anything like that. It is just they're having too much and the digestive system can't cope with the amount.
Yes, indeed. Even with a high quality food, if you overdo it, it can cause some problems sooner or later or intermittently even. So so this can be one of the hardest things to get right, in fact. How much food does the dog actually need? And everybody thinks their dog's an individual, but when it comes to feeding amounts, they don't. They look at the recommended feeding amounts and say, I can't be overfeeding because this is what it says on the packaging.
So sometimes should they feed less than what's on the packaging?
Well, feed according to need. And very often it will be less than recommended, but the recommended feeding amount is really just a starting point. Back in the day, before I even started with Burns Pet Nutrition, when I was working in my practice, people would ask me, how much do I feed? And I would say, well, read what it says on the bag, and then ignore it.
Something we will see is someone, they might have a dog who's actually very skinny, but they're having digestive issues and they're feeding a lot of food, so they think that they can't be having too much food because the dog's skinny. They're struggling to actually cope with that amount, aren't they?
I think the starting point is to be not getting weight in the dog, but in sorting out the digestive problem. Once that's done, the dog will actually gain weight over time as a result of a healthier function of the digestive system.
They're getting all the nutrients from the food then, aren't they?
Well, I think a good starting point is to get some professional advice, and that's why we have a nutrition team to guide pet owners through that. The aim should be to have a food which is not going to cause an adverse reaction, such as intolerance. That's why our recipes are very simple. There's only a limited number of ingredients, a single animal protein source.
And our sensitive pork and potato, that's a real favourite, isn't it, with customers with dogs with digestive issues. It seems to work particularly well.
Yes, indeed.
For the early stages as well, if someone's dog literally has diarrhoea, then quite often we would say to home cook for a few days, and that's what the vet would also normally recommend. We would also say to check with your vet if your dog's having problems.
Egg and rice or something like that.
Boiled egg's really good, isn't
it? Boiled egg is a very good way of firming up a loose dog. Fasting for 12 to 24 hours, diarrhea or loose stool will stop, and then making a fresh start with some boiled egg. And gradually expanding from there.
Because there have been some studies that show if you introduce a new food when the dog's digestive system's already inflamed, they're more likely to start reacting to the new food then as well.
This is what's called a sacrificial protein. In other words, you feed a food which you're only going to use for a very short term as a transition, and that's where egg can be really useful. Even if the dog does become resistant to egg, it's because you're not feeding it long term, it shouldn't matter too much.
Yeah.
That implies that it's high quality. Whereas to me, if a dog has loose stools, then it's probably lower quality, less digestible food that's causing the problem.
Yeah.
It's not too rich. I think it's indigestible or lower quality.
Yeah.
Tends to be the issue here.
And overfeeding as well. Yeah. And what about high fibre diets as well? Would you recommend those for dogs with digestive problems?
This is something that's used a lot in human medicine.
Yeah.
High fibre for digestive problems. In my experience, a highly digestible diet works better in most cases. Fed in a modest amount, highly digestible, it means that there's less material reaching the lower end of the gut. A high fibre can be useful for weight control because it can maybe help the dog to have a fuller feeling. Well, some dogs, nothing makes them satisfied.
Yeah.
And a higher fibre diet is also useful in diabetes because that can slow the rate of absorption of nutrients and stop a spike in blood glucose level.
Yeah, so it is important sometimes, but it's not necessarily increasing the amount of fibre isn't going to stop diarrhoea.
Probably wouldn't be indicated for an underweight diabetic dog. For those which are not underweight, high fibre is useful for diabetes now.
Yeah.
We have a food specifically for that, which is our weight control, which is oat-based, of course.
Thank you for listening. This is one of a series of videos, so please check out our others. And if you'd like more information, please contact our nutrition helpline, and they can help you with a variety of different things, feeding amounts, digestive problems, or just if you want to know more about a diet.
Thank you.